Losing someone you love is probably one of the most profound challenges any of us will ever face. But what if the way through that pain wasn't about trying to get away from it, but about looking directly into its heart? Well, we're about to explore one woman's incredible story of how she did exactly that.
So, this is where her story really begins, with this raw, incredibly honest statement from Kunbasaba after her husband passed away. It's a feeling that just cuts right to the bone, right? A pain that felt like it was everywhere, all the time. And that's the very thing she decided to confront head on. Now, what's interesting is that Kun Busaba already had a spiritual practice. But this grief was on a whole other level. It wasn't something that just came and went in waves. Nope, it was a constant, crushing state of being. The suffering felt absolutely inescapable. For her, the pain wasn't just an event. It became her entire environment. We're talking 24 hours a day of suffering. And this relentless, around-the-clock pain, well, it became the one and only thing she could focus on. It became the subject of her practice. So in her desperation, feeling like she just couldn't take it anymore, she went to her teacher. And she didn't ask for comfort or for some easy answer. She basically asked for a kind of spiritual surgery, for him to just take the suffering out of her heart. And that's a question we can all relate to, isn't it? When that weight feels way too heavy, we all look for a way out, for someone or something to just lift the burden. Kun Busaba's search for a direct answer led her to a very, very unexpected place. This was the advice she got. That's it. Not some complicated ritual, not a mantra, just an instruction. A deceptively simple two-step process that would become the entire foundation for her journey out of the darkness. Look at the pain and find out where it's coming from. And her immediate reaction? Total confusion. I mean, her suffering felt like this giant, unmovable mountain, and this advice, it felt like a tiny pebble. How could such a simple phrase, such a small instruction, possibly do anything about the immense pain she was feeling every single second of the day? But despite her doubt, she went home and she got to work. She started that really difficult process of turning her attention inward, of looking directly at her suffering to try and understand its origin, just like her teacher said. And this is where she made her first huge discovery. Suffering, it turns out, wasn't just one solid thing. It started with a thought, a simple idea like, we used to be so happy. But the thought itself wasn't the real source of the pain. It was more like a key. A key that unlocked a powerful, vivid memory that made the past feel completely real and present. She was actually able to map out the whole process. First, a thought about her husband would just pop into her head. That thought would immediately trigger a memory of their life together. Then that vivid memory would create this powerful desire, this deep, deep longing for that past to be her present reality. And the gap, that unbridgeable gap between her desire and what was actually real, that was the suffering. Okay, so by watching this process happen again and again and again, 24 hours a day, she had a massive breakthrough. She started to see not just how her grief worked, but how the mind itself actually constructs our experience from one moment to the next. She realized that all these components, the thought, the memory, the feeling, the awareness of it all, it wasn't some slow sequence of separate steps. Not at all. It was a package deal. They all arose together and vanished together in a single instant. This was her direct personal experience of a really deep concept. Some call it the 5 aggregates. But for her, it wasn't a theory in a book. It was her reality. Her investigation basically became a living, breathing experience of what some call the 4 Noble Truths. This framework essentially explained itself to her. She saw the suffering, right? She saw its origin in desire. She saw that when the desire wasn't there, the suffering just vanished. And she realized that the path to ending it was exactly what she was doing, this constant, moment-to-moment investigation. And this is where her story takes its final, really incredible turn. After so much conscious, diligent, and, let's be honest, painful work, the process itself started to change. It started to become effortless. This was the huge shift. The analysis that she'd been doing manually, step by step, started to happen all on its own. It's like her mind had learned this new skill. The instant a painful thought appeared, the complete understanding of its nature, the antidote really, it appeared right alongside it. So, to put it simply, her investigation, the path, was no longer something she did. It was something that was just happening for her. The solution had become just as automatic as the problem it was designed to solve.
And you can just hear the effortlessness in her own words, right? It works on its own. She didn't even realize it was happening. It was like a whole new operating system had been installed in her mind, one that was forged in the fire of her deepest pain.
Khunbu Saba's journey shows us a path not around pain, but directly through it, using the suffering itself as the tool for her own liberation. So the question this leaves all of us with is a really powerful one. Can our deepest pain, the very thing we most want to run from, actually become our greatest teacher?